On the panel we have the Colombo Port City Development, known as the Colombo Financial City now. Then we have a representative from the Megapolis, and also we have a representative from the transportation unit of the Moratuwa University. As you may be aware or not aware, Moratuwa has a lot of expertise in transportation and transport logistics and so on. So I see that our panel is ready for takeoff. Only I don't have I have questions to the panelists, and then we'll take it from there. My first question, let's look at it this way. We have the Colombo Port City, we have UD, and we have the transportation. I'll deal with transportation at the end, but I'll start with maybe Thulci from the Colombo Port City. Now, the Colombo Port City, and as you heard Roshan here, it's a new concept. So a lot of people would like to know what's it going to be. It's an area that's being redeveloped. It's in the sea. It's going to cut away a lot of the landscape on Golf Face. So my question to you is, what kind of city are we looking at? What kind of businesses would this development attract? Is it mostly high tech? And when it's high tech, and is it possible to explain what it means? Is it going to be a city within a city? For example, are there living spaces, entertainment? Is it going to be a lot of garden space, livable? Is it going to be a big magnet for the big tech companies? Are we also trying to see, okay, can we set up a kind of a Silicon Valley in this part of the world? And will it also mean a paradigm shift in the way society is in Colombo live?
Quite a lot of questions, okay. Yeah, so Port City will consist of about 269 hectares of reclaimed land. Okay, so our vision is to actually develop a world-class city for South Asia. So it's actually a lifestyle opportunity. So what it will consist of residential, which is predominantly residential, commercial, retail, hotels, marina. There's going to be integrated resort, convention center. Also, Feizal, just to correct you, it is not going to cut across any landscape or the site of view of Golf Face Green. It will not. So in fact, in Port City, the total parks is about 45 hectares. It's almost 9 times Golf Face Green. It will have an artificial beach stretches about 3 kilometers. So it is city within a city really. And in terms of attracting any high tech or any specific sectors, I don't think we are limiting to a specific sector. What I can tell you is government has a vision of setting up the Colombo International Financial Center on Port City. So therefore, it will definitely attract financial services sector investors, as well as I think non-financial services, simply because financial services alone is not going to sustain. It's not sustainable. We need to have the enabling services in order to sustain. So in that respect, yes, but we are definitely not limiting to a particular sector. In terms of whether there's going to be a paradigm shift in the way we live, I would certainly like to think so, because the Port City will be an exemplary city. It's going to be pedestrian friendly with walkways, bicycle lanes, and I suppose with Megapolis plans, improving the road network, and also through an efficient public transportation system, you would reduce the congestion and the private vehicles on the road, therefore reduce probably the greenhouse gas emissions, and then quality of life. The livability aspect is enhanced, and finally, hopefully it will trickle down to increase in productivity. Yeah, anything next, Peiris?
Just one follow-up question on that. What do you think would be the population eventually? How many people are going to be?
So we are expecting about 40 to 60,000 population from Port City and about 200,000 transient population.
Thank you. Again, a big question. A lot of people are not very familiar with this, except for those who are in the industry. But my question would be, what is the Megapolis game plan? What does it mean? What kind of development is envisaged? To some, it also seems to be setting up small cities, satellite cities just on the periphery, so that you will have schools, the kind of schools that Royal and Visakha, that level of excellence, hospitals, so that people need not come into the city. And then how does the Colombo port city fit in? And there is one question that I wanted to ask in the unit, but India is not here, and I think it didn't come out in the discussion, and this issue is not coming out in any discussion on real estate and the market. The question of, we talk about overdevelopment, outside, above ground development, about the infrastructure and so on. But what about water, sanitation, flood water, drainage, under the ground, invisible infrastructure? And if I look at Velavata city, town in the 80s, and thereafter, how it developed, there are roads which had infrastructure for just 100 houses, that you are talking about 400 people, suddenly had this circuit of 10,000 people, but the services were the same, the pipelines were small, and the infrastructure was creaking. Now in the Megapolis plan also, can you also respond to that? Because that thing is not coming up in the discussion we are about these services. We are just talking about demand, infrastructure, construction, and so on. What do you think?
Okay, first I will start with, not with the Megapolis itself, but for the overall plan. I don't know whether how many of you know about the master plan for the country. We have a national plan to develop how we see Sri Lanka in 2030, and out of that, Megapolis is just one concept, which is to develop Colombo based other cities as a kind of a growth pole for the upcoming population. And I must say that now these days we are developing the Hambantara development plan and also the Trincomalee development plan as one of the key development plans to have specialized economic activities. And then I can move into the Megapolis. The Western Megapolis itself is kind of a devolving concept, which we are not expecting more and more people to come in and make this congestion more severe. So we have done so many analyses, and we have done the analysis based on the local expertise about 2 years now. And we have identified the key issues, critical issues, as you can see day-to-day life. We have the issue of transportation, we have the issue of waste, and we have this flood issue, and all of these are being considered. And we are expecting the population, now we have about 6 million living in the Western province by 2015, I think. Now it's even more. And we are expecting about 9 million of population to be in the Western province by 2030. And it will range from 8.5 to 9. But this will not be accumulated in Colombo, CBD or city center. I don't know if you need, I can show you in the presentation, I have the slides. And for that we have identified the specialized economic sectors to be developed. For example, the information technology and the port and also the airport are certain economic infrastructure that we have not utilized or tapped to its fullest potential. So in that case, we have identified the different clustering of zones, and for that we have identified specialized industrial zones that will be one of the key areas in Mirigama and Horana. And parallel with that, we are having the upcoming employments, the new employments. I think, as I recall, it's about 800,000 new employments we are expecting by 2030 within the whole western region itself. And with that, we are having this population influx from other regions, and we have developed the plans that how will the other regions will develop, and that has to be integrated. And as I said, that Hambantota will not be a different entity from Colombo, and Trincomalee will not be another city, and even the port city will not be a separate city. All this has to be integrated. And recently, even we had discussions of this infrastructure and the port city. The concept and everything is very fine, but we have serious issues of the access, how to give the transportation to the port city, and the waste generation. As I remember, it's about 400 tons of waste going to be generated, and what will happen to that? And the electricity, we know already we have issues with the generation and distribution. Still we have not sorted out those issues, and the water supply as a common case. And those are the things that we are now these days developing. The infrastructure is kind of the key factor actually to determine how these cities will grow. If I just go to the planning perspective, and we have lots of plans developed for the Colombo city. Earlier, I don't know whether you know that we had this satellite town concept in many years ago, where Ragam, Homagam and Ratmalan has been identified as the satellites for the Colombo city. But now the ribbon development, where this uncontrolled or haphazard development goes along these roads, this has to be controlled. That is something very important that we, from the beginning, in the Western Megapolis plan, we wanted to control the growth which will positively impact on the city itself. As I think Dr. Sivakumar will explain how this transport issue will cause the economic slowdown of this country. So to avoid those issues, we are expecting to have special zones like these industrial zones. We are having a science and technology city in Malabar, which will stretch up to Homagama. And we will have plantation related activities, a plantation city in Aluwihare based area, and also the airport will be one of the key areas. So we will have airport city or kind of facilities to give the proper economic boost and facilitate the kind of activities which will generate lots of income for the country and for the people as well. And we are having logistic corridor to link up the port and the airport, where this will facilitate lots of the logistics kind of activities and the industrial support. And also we are expecting to have kind of a dry port facilities where the port functions can be taken out in this logistic corridor. So this will be have an overall growth. And if I just move to this infrastructure issue, yes, the transport is still the critical issue, and we also have some plans, and we are developing that with the different stakeholders. We are thinking having kind of a mass rapid transit system that will be one of the key areas for the development, and also this water supply and the electricity. I think the electricity will be one of the key areas that we have to consider more. Even we are now these days discussing with this electricity board and other people to how to facilitate these projects, these kind of developments. And also, there are certain elements that we are missing in kind of a development. If I just move into the kind of past developments that we have seen in past few years, the Southern Expressway and kind of Outer Circular Expressway, which are kind of a potential projects that we think are not being utilized to its fullest kind of a potential. And these days we are developing the plans how the Mirigama industrial zone will be linked with the Kandy or the Central Expressway, and which will directly link with the port, and also how it will link the Horana industrial city, where the goods and services can be easily be transferred from the port to the interior locations. And also we have equally developed population distribution strategy, where we are expecting the suburbs of the Colombo will take more population as a residential population, and the Colombo city as supporting to the port city will be kind of a financial center, where we are already developing the multimodal hub in the PETA. I think most of you might know, might not know, that was discussed in past few forums, and we are having Bale Lake surrounding as one of the key financial districts that will be directly linked with the financial city or the port city. And also the tourism the attraction. Also being planned to have the coastal belt and the marine sector, and also the interior places like the Kalutara, Baduraliya, this Matugam area, which will be a conservation zone, but still the tourism will be promoted there. Those are the key areas that just taken from the master plan, and just go into these web property side, especially we are considering more about the middle income population, how we can provide them affordable housing. And these days we are developing certain concepts, even with the UDA, and how we can make this affordable. I don't think most of the people living in the suburbs are not affordable for these housing units that are coming in terms of these apartments or condos level. But still, we are promoting the high-rise or the vertical development, as it's clearly mentioned in the last few minutes also. And even I'm working with the regulations, and we are developing regulations to increase open space, at least to have 50% out of this block, where the buildable area is going to be put into the 50% range, where the open space and even forest cover will be promoted in the land blocks where this vertical development comes on. So those are some of the areas that we are currently working on, and in the Megapolis plan.
Just a follow-up question. I don't want to put you in the spot. Everyone's planning. You see, I mean, if you can have a futuristic view in 25 years, this country will be a dream. But we also know that there are political realities. One of the biggest problems I see is that, are these plans sustainable? I mean, for example, if they are changing administration, will you go on? And one of the biggest problems I've seen over the years is that they have a development, the municipalities don't keep to the rules, particularly in terms of zoning, residential, semi-residential and commercial. Residential areas have been transformed into semi-residential, and then they become commercial areas, right? Now Roshan spoke about cinema and gardens. I'll be surprised if the authorities can sustain that zoning and those constraints, because there's huge pressure. But what is the kind of, you see, what is happening in here is that you have schools coming up all over, you have tuition classes coming up all over. There is no proper zoning, you know. For example, when you set up a shop, when you apply for a shop, the standard practice is that you should have parking space. And those shops have parking space. So plans are great, but how do you sustain them, right? In a situation, in a country like Sri Lanka, within codes.
Actually, yeah, the problem we see, I see personally, is not the problem, the plan, but the process that we put on, where how it is going to be implemented. That is, I think, a lagging area that we have not done in most of our plans. And we just completed, I think, a few months, mostly, I think, last February, the concept of the Megapolis master plan was finalized, and we have done the launching and everything. Then we have to go with the implementation, how we are going to make this plan a reality. So for that, actually, we were worked out certain areas to have this kind of a new act, to have a Megapolis authority. In that authority, there will be lots of facilities, not only for the people, general public, but for the investors. Actually, that also is a real issue that we see, how to make investment a reality is a serious issue with the lots of procedures and everything. And also we have the other issue with these unsolicited proposals, and that also issue now. If it is unsolicited, you can just go and finish it. But now in this government, we are following the standard protocol and procedures. So that also is an issue, and we are providing, or we are now just proposing to have a new governance mechanism, and also to have kind of an act together with an authority to establish where all these development will be regulated or monitored together with the other organizations. And this is very important where we did this time. We have consulted all the organizations who are in the implementation, especially the UTA, RT and all these agencies, where we take their consent, even from the planning stage. I think in most of the cases what we did was we just make the plan, present it to these organizations and ask them to implement it. Nothing will happen. So in this case, we have changed that procedures, and we are now developing everything, even the regulations, We are not doing it ourselves. We are using the UDA, SLRTC and lots of other enforcing agencies, even CEA. Still we have people from CEA working out the environmental regulations. As you might know, the wetlands and the paddy fields, we had about 1,000 acres within Colombo city itself. And from 2000 to 2015 onwards, about 500 acres are being reclaimed. And not only by the private sector, but the public sector as well. Mostly the government agencies also be part of this reclamation. So in that case, we have taken all of them into a common table and made up these regulations. As you mentioned, the Colombo 7 case. I just 2 days ago visited this whole area. We are going to expand this private residential zone. And on the way, we have seen lots of violations. You can see the Kinsey Road. Still there's an apartment coming up, but it is in the private residential zone. It's a serious issue. That is why with the authority, even with the act, we can't control it. We need to have new regulations set up, especially for the western region itself. So we have just launched the first draft of the regulations. We have sent it to all these institutions and we have taken their consent, and now we are redrafting the regulations. So the new regulations will be more and more tightened. The zoning regulations and also will be more innovative. So that also being considered, and you will be able to see that very soon, I believe.
You have a good vision. I hope you stay transportation. We all know the problem of transportation. Seeing is believing what they say. But I started an anecdote with when Lee Kuan Yew had his vision. At that time, his vision was look at public transportation. Singapore, 80% of the people were traveling in their own vehicles and 20% were going in public transportation. In Sri Lanka, it was the reverse. Today, Lee Kuan Yew or no Lee Kuan Yew, they have achieved that vision. Sri Lanka has gone back to what Singapore was then. There have been various attempts to try various internal, city services with, I think there was an attempt, I think a couple of years ago, where you park your vehicles in Moratuwa and take that bus, but that didn't work. Then also you see, there seem to be that the authorities seem to think that more roads is a solution. I don't think it is, because in a lot of countries they prove that more roads, more vehicles, and again I bring the Singapore example as to less vehicles, high taxes, reduce the number of vehicles into the city, but have very efficient public transportation. Now here we see huge traffic jams. In one of the studies, I was told that from 12 kilometers an hour in city it has come to 7, and it's getting less. So there's a cost, a huge loss to the economy and businesses, and also our policy in terms of transport, vehicle importation is seems to be contradictory. But what do you think?
Yeah, I think with the question you have answered many things. If you allow me a little bit of a time, I think I will go for a fundamental question back instead of answering. If we ask anybody what is transport, people will say moving people from one point to other point. Or if it is a goods transport, it's moving one container of food from one to other. That's the fundamental, that's everybody knows. But what is happening in reality is people movement is taken place by a mode of vehicle. So when vehicle comes to a play, so infrastructure is made for movement of the people with the people's money, citizens' money. It's a public space, road is a public space. But finally what happens is the movement of the people taken place or replaced by the vehicular movement. Then the moment the vehicular movement is happening, we don't care, okay, vehicle is also moving with the people, so by the time vehicle is moving, we also felt okay, people is moving. But then second vehicle, third vehicle, the vehicles are adding on to the public space, and finally what happens is we realized there's a capacity problem. we have a capacity problem. If you don't have a capacity, like US roads, sometimes they have widened roads, many number of lanes, and even elevated highways and so on. So they have to keep on increasing their capacity as long as the demand is also increasing. In terms of vehicle, fundamentally the problem is we have to look at the number of people who are moving. So basically what happens is the number of people moving is increasing, the number of vehicle movement is also increasing. There is a problem in budging. Increasing number of people and movement not necessarily be reflecting the increasing number of vehicles, but it's happening. Why it is happening? Because most of the people are using their own private vehicles. That is where we had a mistake. We couldn't promote any higher occupancy vehicle. Let me use the word higher occupancy vehicle because if the vehicle has more passengers, then it is called higher occupancy vehicle. So if higher occupancy vehicle is moving on the road, I think philosophically we should be happy. There is less problem for us. Then the extreme mode of transport for a higher occupancy vehicle is the public transport. So that's why starting from US, TOD and so on. So I think we have to take the good lesson and the bad lessons as well. And so that's where our problem is. I think now even the transport professionals in this country were telling this one even 15 years ago. The same problem will happen one time if you don't react. But that time people didn't take, at least the professional knows about it, but the government sectors, even the operators and general public will not realize. But as you very correctly said, that seeing is believing. So now public is also crying for, we don't want this one. So this is a correct time. I think Sri Lanka is at a very correct time. We need to promote public transport because that's the only solution. Which type of public transport is a second question, but we have to promote public transport. That is the number one solution for this condition because volume is increasing. Number of people got attracted to the capital cities and the surrounding cities are increasing. That means number of people are increasing. So obviously by the history, we can expect the number of vehicles is going to increase. So are we going to allow this increase or are we going to dampen or stop this increment and replace by some other mode of transport? So that is the kind of an attempt made in 2010 or somewhere, that park and ride system, at least on a trial basis they have tried it. And CTB and several other government sectors has tried with air conditioned buses to promote public transport. I think again we are fundamentally making a mistake. I mean, I can't say it's a mistake because somebody wanted to try something. So that's the attempt made. We can't say it's wrong. But then the problem is people not only looking for the comfort. Air condition is not the number one what the people want. What the number one people want, is it the less cost effective mode of transport? No. I think time is the number one people looking for. If they can go from one place to other, that is the basic transportation. If they can go with zero time, that is the best transport. But that is the imagination, can't help. But again, if somebody wanted to think very philosophically where the zero travel time transport can be happen, I think that A and B, one point to the other point can be brought together. So you are from one origin point, your residence area, and you are going to a place where you, with some opportunities waiting for you at B. So if you can bring at least certain activities at your doorstep, probably you will eliminate some of the transport. So that is one way of tackling. If they really want to go from this A and B's cannot be together, then like the examples are say some cities can, or some activities, schools and hospitals can move away from it. So the concept is this bringing together. So where people is unnecessarily making a movement, we will bring the service to your doorstep as close as possible. So that is number one. The second one is Suppose if cannot be done for certain things, because we can't make everything at your doorstep, so there will be unnecessarily transport is needed. Then we have to look for how to make it higher occupancy, rather than you take every time you drive your own vehicle, equally comfort, but less travel time. So when there is a public transport which is operated in a city with equally, there is no comfort and no discrepancy must be there, but in addition, travel time must be less. That is the time people will come to public transport. I'm saying, by repeatedly saying, even if there is a public transport is running equally good as car, still question. But when there is a public transport equally good as car, but with less travel time, that is the time people will try to sit in the public transport. So public transport is the tool, we have to use it very correctly. So what I'm saying is air-conditioned buses, Wi-Fi, with Wi-Fi, newspapers, etc., is all we know. Because rather than being a driver with the steering, I think we can do many productive work being in the public transport. But why it is not happening? Because our bus is also stuck in the congestion. Bus is also not moving as your vehicle. So you think this is still better. So public transport should be moving faster. So we have to give not only the new mode of transport, but we have to move faster. So how to move faster? You can't put the buses also on the congested road and expect the bus can move faster. Can't. So I'm using bus as an example, but I think under the mass transit, there are different levels of public transport. But let me take a simple example, bus, everybody knows, rather than going for a BRT, LRT and so on. So bus is, if you don't put the bus into an ordinary congested road, then if you put there, you can't expect it. So some level of priority must be there. So leave some space, one lane for them if it is available, and if we can compromise on that, give one lane for the buses to operate, at least at the peak time where the people wanted to move. Then that time you will realize you are stuck on the vehicle with the steering, but there is a mode of transport is moving faster than, that's mean overtaking you without any problem. So that is one of the point where you are going to change to public transport. The second point is access and the egress, because if your residence is very far away from a public transport corridor, then again the second problem is there. So that's where the UDA has to take, and the urban the megapolis plans has to take care. How to motivate the people, bring closer to the corridor. I think gentleman from the previous presentation also tapped on it. We need to put vertical developments closer to the corridor. Then what happens is people without car is also readily available the public transport, and people with the car is also public transport is readily available. Then you can think twice, do I really need to drive your car and put your fuel cost and so on. There is because of the economy of scale, public transport you will get your place at a very low cost. And you don't need to pay for your parking fee, you don't need to pay for your tax, you don't need to pay for your petrol. So when there is a very decent, well efficient public transport is available in a route, particular corridor, let's say there's a corridor 1, and if your residence is also located very within the walkable distance, then the second problem is also solved. So you don't have a problem of how to come to a public transport, because you are promoted or you are motivated to bring that. So how do we do that? UDA has to put some rules and regulations. I'm shaping this one, I think you can see my hands. That's a very common development control in many cities. Starting from Curitiba, these South American cities, they have promoted. We can't do overnight. We have to do little by little. We have to promote the people little bit. We have to. It's a chicken and egg kind of a case. We need to expect the people moving, and we have to provide the facilities. We have to promote public transport and so on. So year by year, I'm saying about 10 years, 15 years development plan. So by 10 years, you will expect there will be no vertical or very less vertical movement away from the corridor, but along the corridor, you will have a very high promoted vertical development. So what's happening is, then we are saying that those who wanted to enjoy a very low, higher, very less height development process, let them there. They can take their own vehicles. But as long as the vertical development is naturally promoting putting a car in your household or the dormitory or say wherever, a condominium, and when you walk 5 minutes, within 10 minutes, there's a public transport available. The public transport can be bus or can be slightly improved bus rapid transit, which is, there are many cities now doing this. Why we are compared to bus priority lane, from the ordinary bus to bus priority lane, and then bus priority lane to the BRT, and BRT, from BRT you can go for LRT, and from LRT you can go on to something else. But this BRT, starting from BRT, LRT, there will be a very huge jump, because BRT you have a flexibility. BRT you can try with a minimal cost, you can try it out and you can reverse. LRT is have equally or slightly high in capacity, but if you done a corridor, you can't reverse it. So investment has to be very careful when we go for a stage of LRT and so on. If you go for underground, it's even carefully we have to invest. And there are some people, I mean, when there is a congestion, huge congestion, people sometimes, without going for a progressive development, somebody may say that, okay, the city A and B is having this underground metros, why not Sri Lanka has? I think before going to that kind of a mass movement, we need to set up the people development and corridor development slightly. So when the corridor is become more popular rather than the network level, network must be there, but among the network, the corridor become more prominent, then we can go for a different levels of mass transit. I think that's how we have to go.
Just a follow-up question. This is more about the ground reality. It's about the management of traffic. The police have a timeless job, but at various phases in Sri Lanka, I'm talking about the last 10 years, there's been changes in changing to one-way roads, and the road development started with Gold Road and so on. And then traffic lights been switched off at peak times and the police, but transportation limits, I think they were involved earlier. Is that process going on, or is it just the police decide when and where to switch off lights and flows? What's the situation?
I have to agree that I don't have much of an idea of this one, but let me say, within the Colombo Municipal Council area, the CNC have a traffic division. There is a separate division for concerning these roads and signals and so on. So there is a division, they are working on it. And even though within the CNC, if there is a national road, A classes road, then RDAs comes to the play. If the signal comes on an A class road, then RDA is handling that. But there are some attempts now being made for some area traffic control. That means within an area, different signals will be interconnected rather than it's working on a single controller. So that means there will be a study, but unfortunately the study is also not continuing, because at a point of some intervention, people study about the traffic and then put a timing, synchronize and optimize the time, and that time is fed into the system. The controller will work behind that. So, but actually what is happening is throughout the days, that means the day of the time or day of the week or even month of the year are completely different. So are we changing? So then there is a system called dynamic signaling. I think it's not new, but many cities are doing that. That's why I said I don't have clear picture of whether we are going for a dynamic signaling or just a static but area traffic control. But I think with some foreign partnership, RDA is seriously taking on some studies on the signaling. There is some movement is taking place, but I think police is, regarding the first question is, are there any management team or study team or research team? No invitation for us. I don't know. I don't know whether it is happening. But I heard because of some instance I visited CMC. So CMC, there is a division working on it. Similarly, RD also there's a unit is working. But whether these two are working together, I'm not sure.
Sivakumar said, and try and bring it back to say what is the impact. See, if you look at Port City, it's a 25-year project. It's almost like a leap of faith, right? The biggest challenge is infrastructure, no doubt, because we need to ensure that Port City integrates with the colonial city, which is Colombo. Okay? The biggest challenge is the infrastructure. One is, so at the moment, what we have there is going to be an elevated highway connected from Kalania to Port City, near the Port City. That is the Colombo Fort area. Okay? That will ease a lot of traffic. Then what's going to happen is, in that area where the elevated highway connects to the fort, there's going to be a lot of traffic congestion in the ingress and the egress. So for that 5.8 kilometer, the funding is already in place for the elevated highway. Then what is the solution for the traffic congestion in the fort area because of this elevated highway and the port access road? So what is proposed at the moment is it is going to be extended to the Marine Drive. There's going to be an underground tunnel extended to the Marine Drive, so the traffic flow is to the south. Now that is currently being evaluated and cost estimates are being done. The biggest challenge is, if you talk about public transport, yes, we need to promote, no doubt. If you look at the apartments in the last 6 years, and if you take another 3 years, 3,000 apartments are going to hit the market. You're looking at about 10,000 apartment units have come to the market, but the infrastructure has not been adequate or it has not been kept to the pace. So the issue is, government identified as a requirement, the issue is the funding. Where is the funding going to come from? Obviously Megapolis has a lot of plans as well. I think the biggest thing is you need to promote PPPs. That is the only way to go. You need to promote PPPs to address these issues. And that's my take on it.
Megapolis must be having mega funding, right? Anyway, the floor is now open for questions. Please, there's a microphone there.
During the time of the previous government, there was a plan to introduce waterways like water transport through the Aluwihare. So what I want to know is what is the development looked at for alternative transportation methods, maybe through water, and what is your take on that, and what can we look at for the future?
I'll take two more questions and then get the panel to answer that one. Can I have any other questions?
I have a second question as well. Port City, you said that the marina is going to be installed as well. What's the size of the marina? What's docking going to be like? And what sort of cruisers or yachts can be accommodated? And are we encouraging? Are we looking at developing the leisure sector through yachts? Is my second question.
Any other question before I get the panel to answer? I have two questions on one.
Hi. Yes, we were talking about Colombo. Now we have given the cities in the country. Are we having any plans for other cities? Just fast.
Yeah, there are certain attempts has made, not even the recent past, even years back also. There are within the city there are certainly water bodies are there, water body which can be used, but there are certain limitations we had, particularly like the how to make the access for that. And also then there's a disadvantage, I mean there's a negative in water transport is in terms of the public, so definitely the people movement. If it is a little bit of a huge amount of people, if there is no alternative for moving people faster than that, then there is an alternative water bodies can be. But the problem is transferring them, bringing them to the by one mode and transferring them to the water vessel, and then transferring. There will be a definite 2 transfer points. Considering all these times, sometimes we have a challenging going for a water body. But in terms of goods transport, definitely there's a potential market for that. I think Megapolis is also.
Actually, I can add something. Actually, we have a transport unit within our Megapolis itself. If you have seen the Megapolis plan, under water transportation, we have proposed in the beginning to have 3 areas. One is the Bay Lake, from the Union goes up to Union Place, from some point somewhere closer to this Lake House jump point. And then the other one is from Vellavatta to Devanna, which is along the Vellavatta Canal. And the third one is along the Kalani River. And out of that, actually, for the Vellavatta to Sri Jayawardhanapura, up to Water's Edge, the proposal, the feasibility has been done with the University of Moratuwa in 2004, I think. And that has been just taken back and revised, and now the SLLR, the Land Reclamation Corporation, they have studied the trace and everything. We have small issues. First we had the issue with the boat, the low bed boats, because the depth of the water body is so low in certain cases where the boat may not be able to go through. So that has been solved. They have found from the Navy there are certain boats that can be used in this water body, and the other one is the river bank. There are certain issues of the damaging or this erosion of the river bank. So that also has been considered. I think that will be one project that will come very soon. As I have seen, the cabinet paper also been approved by the cabinet to have water transport, I think within 15 minutes, probably. That is what in the concept paper I saw. You can be able to come from Vellavatta, from Marine Drive to Water's Edge, so up to Patramula, that area. And for the Peiris Lake one, we had discussions with Swedish government, where they are expert, and also the Netherlands. They also have expertise on this, and they have proposed to have certain waterway transport along Hamilton Canal, from Negombo up to this Kalani Bridge, up to Kalani River. That has not yet been negotiated up to a level of implementation, but it will be very soon. And for the Peiris Lake, we have the issue with the water quality, and that also has to maintain, because for that we not only have to have that as a way of transport, but for the tourism purpose also we are promoting that. But still we are discussing how to eliminate these pollution issues. And finally, the Kalani River one, I don't think it will realize very soon, because we have issues with the water intake at Abathali, and the water engineers from water board having few issues, whether if there is any leakage, that will be directly impact to the water intake and to the Colombo water supply. And the other one is we are having some salinity barriers along the Kalani River, so there will be certain issues for the boats to move when the low tide is there. So up to now, I think the Patramula Vellavatta line is under the pipeline. We are expecting to promote that as the phase 1 of the water transport.
There was a question on.
Shall I answer that too?
Yeah.
As you might know, even from the past government, there were projects started. One of them is the strategic cities project. That is one of the comprehensive project where these townships selected in different areas of the country are proposed to develop. At the first phase, I think the Kandy one, and also Gold. Kandy and Gold will be one of the key areas that are going to be developed as cities, and with the new infrastructure. UD is handling that along with the World Bank funding, and the Megapolis is coming for the western region, And now we are having Hambantota development. And also the Trincomalee master plan is now under the implementation. These days we are now developing a master plan for Colombo area as well in the eastern province. As we have seen the Prime Minister's vision, the concept paper, from that he has also identified as two regions, the country, the northeast corridor and also the southwest corridor. So we are having Colombo, Gol, Hambantota, that stretch as one zone and linking Kandy. And also there will be a stretch from Jaffna, Trincomalee, Polonnaru, everything comes together in the northwestern side. So that is northeastern side. So that is what we are planning. It is not only Colombo, but also other regions are going to be developed. And not only that, we will have the linkage. Actually, Colombo will have the direct linkage with Hambantota port now. So there will be certain activities will be taken place in these ports and will be linked through this Southern Expressway. So those are being considered as key areas. The Colombo will be connected to many other areas of the regions in the country. So that is.
Yeah. Marina. So the south border of Port City is actually the presidential secretariat, so that roundabout. So that's why I said the line of sight from the ball face is not going to be blocked. So that's the south border, and that's where the marina is going to be. The detailed plans are still on the drawing boards, but the size approximately may be about 300 hectares. With number of birds, the size is yet to be determined, but we are not expecting to attract 100 huge yachts. Probably a little small to medium.
Let me add something to the SCD with the strategic city development project, which was initially identified a goal, Kandy and Trincomalee, but Trincomalee because of the security reason at that time it was brought out. And then now it is still continuing, but with the Anuradhapura and Jaffna. So there are two cities combined instead of Trincomalee.
And also I think Kurunagala and Ratnapur is also going to be added into that list in future.
And Kandy, I think, is progressing well. I think if anybody know Kandy, Kandy.
It is going to be phased development, but the reclamation will happen in one go. So reclamation will take 3 years, which we commenced after signing the tripartite agreement on the 12th of August. So it will be done in one phase, 3 years. In terms of the development, it is structured phase 1, phase 2. Phase 1 would be about 40% of the area of 269. And predominantly it will be office, commercial space, and a bit of residential, and it will also have retail, marina, the convention center, the healthcare facility, and an international school. So that's phase 1. Phase 2 is predominantly residential, but what we hope is the phase 1 commercial occupancy will drive the phase 2 residential occupancy. The second question is whether there is definitely, the local developers has to partner with. Sometimes because of the size of the plots which is available, they may need to partner with a foreign developer, but yes, it is encouraged. Transportation pyramid. Typically pedestrians all on the bottom of the pyramid, right? So we would actually do an inverse. We turn the pyramid around, so because Port City is pedestrian friendly. There are walkways, cycle lanes, and what we want to promote is that. And in terms of the vehicle or the private vehicle transportation is given very limited significance. And if you travel by hybrid or electric vehicles, you get priority parking. So again, these details are being formulated, but the idea is Port City development is going to be a sustainable development within guidelines, and sewage, waste, all that. It is not going to be, we are not going to be depending on the state for that. It is going to be fully sustainable, and it's going to be fully sustainable, and also in terms of the transportation plan, At the moment, there is some discussion about an LRT and how that integrates within the port city.
Of carpool, I think I have already answered. If I say that mean why we went to the extreme of public transport is improving higher occupancy vehicle. So carpool is the same concept. Carpool mean say both of us are going to Colombo for more or less the same location, more or less the same origin. So what the concept is like, rather than both of us driving, just negotiate both of us and then take a turn, maybe a certain defined day of the week, I will drive taking him and he take, or else if he take a little bit higher level, there will be an agent will work on it and they will request, the people can call them, there is a carpool mechanism. But only thing is that here in developing countries, we have some kind of a inconvenient or uncomfortable when you are traveling with somebody else. So there is a, if that has gone out, probably carpool is nothing new. So in US and many other cities now it is well established, even China and many people, there is an agent, carpool club. So people join the club based on origin destination, they facilitate you. But the funny thing is, I don't know to name the city, let's say even in some cities they call, instead of the bus priority lane, because that is the most extreme case, they will say HOV lane, so higher occupancy vehicle lane. So if one person is driving a car, he is not eligible to drive on that priority lane. But if the car is having two or more people in the car, that car can take the priority lane and drive faster. So that is the concept in some US and many cities. But so one of the Asian countries has tried this one. Then what has happened is, bear with me, like I started with the people movement, right? So I started with the people movement. What is transport is moving from people one point to the other point. So that's mean if the purpose is not changing, the number of people moving is not changed. But the way you moving the people, the number of vehicles can be reduced. So now with the HOV lanes or the carpool or HOV lane concept, what has happened is, earlier husband drive for his job. To qualify for this lane, he unnecessarily picked the wife into the car and get qualified to drive on the lane, and the wife is become a dummy passenger there. So system has been manipulated by our people, I mean our people in that particular society. So I think people should be educated why it is, I mean not for anything else, to reduce the traffic. That is the call. So when we are making policies also, we have to be very careful. Sometimes policies will be manipulated by the society.
In fairness to the women, I think the woman takes the husband and the husband.
Yes, sorry, I am not the gender bias, but vice versa is possible.
Anyway,
And also let me add, if the time is allowed, let me add, I didn't touch on this traffic management, but you through the word traffic management. When the volume, that means when the number of vehicle increases, the traditional approach is increasing the capacity. That means building more roads. I have a slight contradiction to this elevated highways coming into the city, because elevated expressways and elevated whatever can come up to the city, and after city, I think we have to be transferred by an efficient mode of transport rather than destroying the beauty of the city by putting pillars and elevated decks and so on. As much as possible, we can reduce that. If it is no way, yes, that would be the least option for the city to build an express elevated way. But so in terms of the traffic demand management, so let's say over a period that everybody knows there is a morning peak and there is an evening peak. So when we are building roads, on what basis we are building is on the peak. So there's a distribution. Let me ease the distribution. There's a flat curve, and then peak there is a very high, and then there's a flat curve, and evening there is a peak. So the road development goes targeting this peak, because we can't build the road only for the off peak, and peak is let them suffer. We can't do that. So road capacity increment goes to that. So that is the traditional way of approaching. But instead of that, traffic demand management says, why we allowing them to peak here? can't we dam this one and distribute it over a longer period? So that the peak capacity, we don't need to go for this much capacity, but lower capacity, but distributed over a longer period. So the simple policy, some countries has already applied this one. Let's say, I'm just taking example, don't take it granted and misunderstand me. Like schools may start little earlier than government sector, and government sector can start in a second layer, and the private sector can start even little late. So there will be a 3 time window for different sectors. So rather than everybody jump into the road and rush on it within the 1 hour or 2 hour window, we will distribute that so that the capacity problem sorted out. So rather than jump into a capacity, we are trying to manage the demand. So there are so many ways it's possible. If anybody interested, you can continue with me. You can get the context from them.
Thank you. I think the time is up, and I'm sorry we are running out of time. One question, okay?
2 days ago.
Yeah, I'm actually.
It might be a plan.
I was witness that question. Yeah, that's a serious issue actually. To be honest, even when I was working with the Singapore architects and the planners with Savannah International, they also raised the same issue. Would be able to do that. And there are 2, 3, 4 sides on this case. For example, if we take one single entity or some property, some building, can we have a kind of a flow into the street? For example, like what we see in the historic buildings in the Colombo Fort, we are trying to do the same, but it's really hard question to answer because there are certain elements of it, certain stakeholders. For example, can we allow our hotels, all these lobbies of our hotels, for the access of public, general public? Will they come, or will they allow to come? That's also a serious issue. Even we raise this issue with the developers, certain developers, when they are proposing certain projects. Everybody is happy to give, but there are certain restrictions with every project that are coming in, and we are trying to keep this kind of facades and everything to have a certain, actually, to me, it's a proper urban design, where these street lines, even people doesn't need to go in this kind of a humid and hot weather. They can just use the side walls of these hotels as a shade. It can be shaded and give the public to access it very easily. And that's a kind of even a marketing promotion where they can even sell items. Even I have seen in most parts of the world. But still, we have certain issues, and there are certain ways, even from the developer's point of view. Now there are so many issues with the design and build projects, and everybody is trying to cut the cost and these kind of nice things, and what we see better in our eyes might not be profitable for the developer. So that also is a question in hand whether we can do it. But I think we have to start with the government buildings, at least from the government perspective. Even upper buildings also are quite a mess. Even in Batharamulla, we have so many issues with the kind of a building design itself. It doesn't facilitate the people. If you go to the identity card office or the passport office, you can see lots of people in everywhere. So that's the kind of an issue that we are talking. Actually, last month, we started this green building program for the government buildings. Even the president came and these kind of a guidelines were given. And from that onward, we are now starting to have these government buildings in the proper kind of a design, where the general public can easily be accessed, and even that will not be a mess to the streetscape. And even we are trying to cope up with all other developments. In the case of Port City, it might not be very easy because they will finish the reclamation by 2019, but I don't know whether this elevated road might come within the timeline. And also what will happen to that exit at the fort? That will be a huge mess, and all the vehicles will from the Canal Bridge will come into this point and just stuck everywhere. So then they are now proposing that goes up to the Athurugiri interchange, the Pore, along the Batharamulla Goswatha. That also is being proposed by RDA, where you can take this elevated highway from the Canal Bridge, goes up to the Southern Expressway or the Outer Circular Highway. So these are proposals, and even I think we are working to have a kind of a sync together with all these developments.
We are adhering to sustainable principles and guidelines, that is in terms of reclamation. And even the third-party developers are given certain guidelines that they need to build within. In terms of the design, we have what is called DCR, Design Control Regulations, which is set by one of the consultants who are advising Megapolis as well. So there is some some in terms of industrial design, there is there's some, although the port city is looking at a very modern city, whereas Megapolis will have a different design suiting each city. But yes, in terms of seamlessly integrating the old colonial Colombo to the new city is looked at.
Thank you. With that, I'm sorry, that last question, we are running out of time. With that, I'd like to close the discussion and thank our panelists today for being here and sharing.